Hello and welcome to one other feature I want in C# 12, or at least in the upcoming releases. So I have a problem, so I'm gonna have abstraction overload. So basically, if we create, for example, let's say we're gonna create a class for our base character, and we're gonna have enemy and we're gonna have player as separate. So let's do that. Class base character. You can simply just do that. And we're going to do class player. And it's going to inherit from base character. Then we're going to create enemy as well, which is going to do the same thing. There we go. Now let's say we have this as an abstraction and we have a method that we want to implement. So let's say abstraction void update, like so. Now what this means, first of all, we need to have public because this can't be private. But now this means that both the player and the enemy needs to implement these interfaces. Well, extract members basically. So let's do that. So now we have implemented the abstraction and method inside our player and our enemy. The problem comes here. Let's say we want to have a parameter, an optional parameter, or just a parameter in general. We can't do that. So let's say float delta time. Well, as you can see over here, we can't do that because this needs to be actually in the abstraction as well. So we copy this and paste it over here. Now player is acceptable, but the enemy is not acceptable. So now we have an error. So how do we avoid this? Well, we could do an interface because class and struct can inherit interfaces. So let's do interface idata, like so. Let's do struct player data, and then we can do from the idata. And in this abstraction, we can do idata data, like so. Now, if we change this to play data, then data, this is not acceptable because this needs to be actual, the interface, not the some stuff that inherits that interface. So we need to do like this. Now, in the method, we could cast it, cast it back as the struct. So like new data, we do play data, like so. The problem here is that interfaces will unbox and box itself. So you generally get no performance by doing this. So we have a problem by using this method, and you can potentially use another like design way to do this, but they actually have a abstract overload in C#. It's just a little bit unusual, let's say that. So let's say instead of doing like this, and let's remove all this information with the abstraction method. Now to use abstraction overload in C#, well, as I call it, it's basically constructor. So if we construct a base character, we could put in, for example, first name and string last name, like so, or let's say display name, and let's say int age. While in the player, we need to also include the constructor from the base character. So basically, this is an abstraction, right? Or abstract constructor, basically. So let's do a constructor. Now the player needs to construct the base character. So in order to do that, we can inherit from the base constructor. Now this takes a display name and age. And display name, we can simply just do this and say player. And then age, we want as a parameter for the player. So we can do int age, like so. And then just pass it back to the base constructor. Now this works. And let's say in the enemy, we can do this simply copy the same thing by just changing the enemy, or even just do string displays name. So like this, and just copy the string to the base constructor. So when we are creating a new player, let's say player 1, P1, we have to choose an age. So let's say 20. Like so. And we can't do this because this is level code. We need to do like this. There we go. So now we have created a player from age, and let's say we want to create an enemy. So let's say zombie, and do an enemy like so. Now we need to specify a display name and a age. So let's say display name should be angry zombie, something like that. Then do it age, let's say age 100. There we go. So now we have split the parameter from the base character from to the player and the enemy. So I think this is really useful. The only problem is that Unity doesn't use Constructor at all. Well, they use this, but the programmer in Unity, well, those making the script to your game cannot use Constructor because Unity's internal dev are using the Constructor in order to display in the editor and all that kind of stuff. So we have a problem that we can't use the Constructor in Unity, and there's no other way to get this exact same principle in C#. So I wish instead of doing the constructor overload or something like that, like you're inheriting from the base class, that you can do with the method as well. So let's say do void update, and we can inherit the update and do specific stuff with the update. I don't think there's any way. If there are any way to do this, then please let me know, because I wish Unity, oh sorry, C# developers would implement this, because it can be beneficial. Now you could also use generics as well. So let's say T and something like that, and we can specify player data. So if we create the struct again, player data like so, then obviously we can implement this, and we can do, for example, T data and do float delta time like so. We can also just remove this because this is going to be abstract void like so, and now we can implement this, and now we have the player data. So we could do that, but I feel like, I don't know, it creates, if let's say if I want to have more than just a play data, then I want a, for example, int health. I can't do that. I can't overload or add more parameters to the base, to the abstract method. You could potentially do like this, then add multiple data and all that kind of stuff, but I feel like overload abstraction method would be so handy. I don't know if it's possible. Hopefully, I just think it's a good idea, especially when you have polymorphism and you want to do something else in the other child. So I think it's very helpful. Please let me know if you want this feature, and hopefully C# developers will see this video and take consideration to implement this. It will be so helpful. If not, then please let me know if you have other designs to do this way, because I really need this feature. You can use generics, or you could use not use but avoid this sort of thing and just do method for separate class. The only problem is it gets very tedious. For example, let's say void update, and this will have float delta time and a health parameter. Let's say ref, because we want to modify this in the update. Let's say that. The problem is that it gets very tedious. We need to do the exact thing, and then when we call the base character for the update, it doesn't work because we have separated. So let's say var we can't do a base character, but let's say we could. So let's remove abstraction class. So we say new base character, and let's remove t as well. So like so. Now we have an update, but the whole connection from the base character to the other player and all that kind of stuff breaks completely. I just want a in abstract method that you can overload, basically create new parameters and optional parameters to fit your benefits for that child in the inherit class structure. But yeah, thank you for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.